Hello, and I want to welcome you and thank you for investing to another episode of the Shareholders podcast. Guys, it's a blessing to be here. I have a great guest, and I have to give a little bit of a backstory before I formally introduce her. Shareholders podcast, I should have figured this out. It's been a couple years that I've been doing this. Now, I had an old podcast before that, but I wanted to launch a network. I wanted to kind of, consolidate my shows. I got my business show, my music show, things like that. And so when I started the music show, I wanted someone else to host this show. And connecting, I was going to meet somebody at a wellness seminar. And first of all, I didn't know it was a wellness seminar for women. And I was like, oh, Lord, I got all dressed up. I walked and I didn't look at the ticket good. And when I finally looked at the ticket, I said, oh, man. So I remember I went right to the front desk, like, I'm a man. Can I be here? And they were cool. They were like, yeah, no, come on in. And so when I went in there, I was going to try to talk to just one person, but then the panels were so amazing. Just hearing people talk, and I had to really, I said, man, I might need to just host for a little bit to talk to all these people. And if you guys remember, I think my first show was with Sade. I can't remember for sure, but Sade was running the event. And then I saw who my guest is now. And so my guest today was probably my third ever guest on Shareholders. And so she's back. I'm super excited to talk with her. Miss Ashley Burney, how are you doing?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me on again. And it really is, it's a blessing given that it's been a minute. And to see that you still are wanting to be a connector and make those connections and have your podcast, because really that's what people, I can say, have navigated towards feeding themselves and realizing through what platforms that is. So I'm excited to be back again.
Again, guys, if you go back to our episode with Ashley, I wasn't even here. I was at my office at my church and we just had to do a makeshift. That's how long ago that was.
But it worked. It worked and it was great.
And we got great response. It really did. And what's funny is I saw Ashley and her husband. We were, my lawyer, Caleb, had me go to this little event. I said, fine, let me, first of all, y'all go out the stuff, do some things, because you're gonna run into people. So yeah, I'm at this big event, and it's so good to see somebody when you don't know nobody else in the room. I saw my people there. I was like, what's up, AB? Hey. And
I'm like, hey, being the connector that you are, your lawyer is my business lawyer as well. Right. Because you had made the referral, and one of the exciting things with one extension to my platform, which is our the lifestyle brand and event series. Yes. I worked with Caleb to get it trademarked, so that has been another huge success in this last year. So it wouldn't have happened if I didn't get the referral from you. So
hooking it up. So yes. So let's get into it, because it's been a minute, and you've been doing so many things even since we last talked. What's one of the biggest accomplishments? Not that, you haven't done many, but what's one of the biggest things since we last talked to you that you've been involved with in that time?
Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest has been launching my consulting agency. It has taken off, and really launching my consulting agency, working with individuals and companies with their community relations and PR efforts, brand awareness initiatives, goal setting, strategy. In this time that that has gone by, I also went to Cornell University to pursue a certificate in diversity, equity, and inclusion. The things that have been happening around our world, they have opened many eyeballs, many more ears to issues that we know that have been around before I was born. And they have surfaced, and there's been some band-aids taken off, which have forced companies and individuals to look at things differently. And so launching my consulting agency, specifically working on targeted initiatives within my knowledge and within my scope of work, really to be able to give it all of my time now has been a blessing. Not really my client, not having all of the answers, and me either. It's really working with them to discover what hasn't been revealed yet. And so, but to do it the right way. So to have strategy behind a lot of the specific initiatives that are brought forth, that is what has been, it gives me goosebumps every single day to realize that I can connect with someone, I can connect with a business that wants to be better and do better, and then also allow me to tap into my gift to help others in whatever capacity that is. So I would say that has probably been my biggest accomplishment over this. There's been plenty more, but when I hone in on specifically launching that and having the courage to do it, and being a woman to connect with Fortune 500 companies and say, this is what we can do in working together to help you be better and target who you serve, it's beyond exciting. So I would say that.
Let me ask you though, because I talk to some people about consulting, and sometimes I feel like they don't quite understand exactly what that is. So, they're like, okay, I'm like, man, you should do some consulting on that. And they're just like, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
Tell me exactly, like in a scenario where a company calls your company and says, we would like you guys to come in and do some consulting. I know there's different businesses and all that, but if you give us a little synopsis of what that entails.
Yes. So I'll give you an example from both ends. From an individual perspective, when they contact me, it's typically they're an entrepreneur, right? And they're wanting to launch a business, but they have so many great ideas and they just don't know how to streamline them for it to seem doable, right? And so when they connect with me, I develop strategy and targeted initiatives to help them implement their business desires and their goals. So, one thing with consulting is I'm just going to speak on my business, is that I will work with you, I will help you with strategy, I will lead you to the well, but I cannot make you drink. And so I like to hold people accountable. I want them to see a return on their investment. And with that said, is there may be times where you can feel uncomfortable because you really haven't been in that capacity before, you haven't been stretched, right? You haven't got that Ashley stretch. Then, it could be uncomfortable. But I always say, if you stick with me to the end, and I'm very proud to have clients who have re-signed and wanted to continue their contracts with me and their engagement periods because they have seen fruit. Community relations, that's been my entire career. I've been out in the community. I like building programs. I like hearing no before I see yes. And I like to be able to kind of spill that on to other people who they see the light, they just don't know in terms of a good strategy that would align with their success. So that's when they tap into me. So that's from an individual's perspective. From a corporate angle, I have helped companies really establish their brand in the community. Those who also want to have a philanthropic arm or initiative to their business. So really proud, one of my corporate clients, Redbox Plus Southwest Las Vegas, it is a Black-owned, women-owned company, disposal company, that when you see a trash bin that is connected to a truck that is used on job sites, whether it's an industrial, commercial, or residential site, you can't rent those things together. You always have to rent them separate. So for them to come to our community and want to get the name out about who they are and what they do, and they're very family oriented and wanting to be able to give back to charities and increase their philanthropic reach, right? Those are also things that I do to help them, further their goals. So from a corporate angle, and then you have individual, it's slightly different. Some of the actual projects could range, but typically my corporate clients, they want to expand their reach in the community, one via their work, but then also being of good service and giving back to the community while they're doing it. So those are kind of from a twofold perspective.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you for breaking that down. And I think sometimes people don't understand that, it's not that you're not gifted or you have a great idea, but people like Ashley can then take you to the next level where you're doing the best you can just managing it, but they've got ideas, they've had experience to where, okay, your next thing, if you want to go to this level, do this, this, and that. And I
Exactly.
stress it all the time, talk to somebody. Don't just stay in your own circle. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
And like you said, even the event, seeing each other again, coming through this crazy world pandemic and being in person and being able to, promote what you do, because there are a lot of people who are looking. Many may not know the avenues to take, but I love when my name is in rooms and I don't even know. And it's because I follow through. I'm a person of my word.
Mhm.
And I love bossing up. Like, I just love having my hands in so many different things. So yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, hands in a lot of different things, you're still doing your heart to heart company, which is also tied in with Your Bold is Beautiful. I'm telling you, y'all, she is super busy. Like, so what's the key to kind of maintaining so many things at once? And I mean, you got, a family and kids and all that. I'll see you post on the Instagram, you at a practice and then you run it. I'm like, how are you doing all that stuff? How do you juggle all that?
And I want to point out, because I feel like my answer to your question is going to kind of come through for those who aren't familiar with the platform and what we do. I feel like it's important sharing that nugget and what exactly that is, to then answering your question of that balance, right? So Heart to Heart is actually a media, events, products, and consulting platform. So we have events, there's motivational speaking opportunities, we have products, we have the lifestyle brand, which is the Your Bold is Beautiful. And Your Bold is Beautiful was actually discovered, right, out of finding our bold, because not everybody, you may be asked the question of what is your bold, or, respond with, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Maybe it could be overshadowed by an experience that we've had, or the life that we've lived, or choices that we've made, right? But Your Bold is Beautiful is rooted in the pivotal experiences that we have as individuals, finding our truth and our bold and seeing the beauty in that. And that's for everyone. Everyone, I really believe this wholeheartedly, that everyone has a gift. Everyone has a gift. Sometimes that gift is birthed out of, as mentioned, from an experience or from a season of life, but sometimes it could be overshadowed. So sometimes it's hard to actually recall what that is. And so with our Your Bold is Beautiful lifestyle brand and event series, we really hone in on how to discover that bold authentically. So discovering your bold, owning your bold, and being unapologetic about your bold, right? Which is you, it's your person, it's your own uniqueness. And so being able to have the Heart to Heart platform, right, with the lifestyle brand, and then also some of the things that we've done with that, such as the women's empowerment brunches, our annual Your Bold is Beautiful summits that we have, and then also something more recent, which is actually relaunching our Heart to Heart Youth Empowerment Program. And this is something that it actually was the origination of Heart to Heart. Many don't know this. Heart to Heart actually started off as an after-school program. And I was working in the Clark County School District at the time. And my role was a dean secretary. And it wasn't until I started seeing these kiddos who were coming in for many different reasons, more on the behavioral side, who were also known and labeled as frequent flyers, right, into the dean's office. But I actually chose to do something with that, and that was start that after school program. And we were able to speak to youth directly in their voice. And it's so special because during the school hours, it's, did you do your homework? Were you here on time? Sit in your seat, be respectful, do all of this other stuff. But are we able to tap into that they made it to school? not knowing how their home life could be, or did they eat? Did they shower? Do they have the necessary tools and resources to survive? And so the program grew and grew. It grew up to over 120 kids. This is after school on their time. So I'm being asked now, do you need help? Do you need campus security? And we're like, no, this is a platform to bring these youth together. And we had guest speakers and of course food. Everyone loves food. And so I'm a huge foodie. And we're just talking to the kids, and it was such a blessing. So we relaunched that program now, and it's taken off in just the 2 months that we've started having those initial conversations. So partnering with the school district, with students in grades 5 through 12, focusing on specific initiatives that are age appropriate, right? So we're not going to talk, with a fifth grader like we would a high school student. We're talking about the transitions of life. And so we are able to partner with community partners to come in to be of resources to these students to ensure their success. And it's their social and emotional well-being. Many of those things that, school staff may not have the capacity for. Some of these school counselors have 400, 500, 600 kids on their caseload. There's no way, with the time that they're given in a day, to actually be able to help these kids in the way that that would contribute to their success. Yeah. So, relaunching the Heart to Heart Youth Program, and then also our newest initiative, which is partnering with the city of Las Vegas city of North Las Vegas, with mentoring incarcerated women. And I tell you, it has been such a great joy. It was something I prayed about 10 years ago, but it surfaced now through a couple of ladies who attended our annual women's empowerment event and who work for the city. And they said, we would love to see what you're doing. We would love to have those services for incarcerated women. And when you kind of forget about something that you pray for, and then it comes full circle, years later, to be doing this virtual, right? So I'm behind a screen. I've never met these women. They're incarcerated for many different reasons. To start off a session, they're like, oh, who is she? And what can she share with us? To hugging themselves, stating positive affirmations, allowing them to really take a deeper dive into that they are not their choices. They are not what's happened to them. And so to be able to kind of tap into that, has truly been a blessing. So to share all of that, to specifically answer your question in terms of balance, is I would say also taking time for self. I do so much, and I'm involved in so many different things and so many different initiatives that I actually have to take time for Ashley. Right. So that is truly tapping into the things that I love doing. It's going to church, traveling, praying a lot, really making sure that the things that I have my hands in and that I'm involved or connected to are benefiting both. That there's a fulfillment with me in pouring out, but then also knowing that it's received and received well. And so, my kids, they keep me busy with their sports. My son is a competitive basketball player. He's a junior in high school, and my daughter is in competitive dance. So they do keep me busy, but that balance is also being a mom. Mm-hmm. Being a mom and, doing what I'm doing typically, and I can't even say during the week, because it literally being an entrepreneur, you're working around the clock full time. But it's also knowing too when to set it aside and be present with my kids, with my husband, and just, being along for the ride. So yeah, I would say that.
Well, and let me just say something. If this didn't exist, if what Ashley's doing, if she didn't do any of this stuff, sure, the world will keep spinning and we keep doing things. But the fact that she's created these things, and I say this all the time to people, just start something, try it out, just start on that dream. She's inserted herself in and look at the ripple effect. She's touching people now. Man, that incarcerated women's program is outstanding. Man, I love to hear that.
I tell you, it is to know the impact for someone that may feel that they aren't worthy because of either situations that they've gotten themselves into or that have happened to them. Because it's not always, there's always a reason behind some things. And so speaking with them and seeing the enrollment increase because they sign up for it. So they sign up and they post a flyer and they say, sign up to attend the sessions. And we had a few in the first session, and then it literally almost tripled. The room was full, and the way the camera is facing out, I can actually see out into the hallways. Wow. And so it's very inspiring to know that even if it's one going to sleep that night, knowing that they have hope, and hope is still alive, and it comes through hard work. It comes in making those good decisions. It's worth all of it. So it's very humbling.
That's awesome. Well, very quickly now, of course, we're right in the middle of Women's History Month.
Yes.
So it was so great to have you on for this. I want to know, for you, the impact of the history of women of color, you know what I mean, in this country as we've developed. I got Rosa right here, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's right.
You know what I'm saying, Coretta. How has that affected you? Because again, a lot of people could just say, be a wife, be a mom, you're doing too much, all that stuff. I'm sure part of that stigma that women still fight today is prevalent. How has seeing women's history and success of women kind of helped you with that bold that you talked about earlier?
That's a great question. And I'll speak from a personal perspective, but then also elaborate a little on how that's allowed me to take a deeper dive into tapping into my gifts and sharing those in the many platforms. So if it wasn't for the guidance and mentorship of the women that I had, my mother was a preacher's kid. I grew up in the church. I was in the church from all day. Vacation Bible school to you have early service, you have mid service, you go eat, you come back. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I could have built a mural or something in the church and it'd still be around, having left Alaska, which is where I was born and raised, Anchorage, Alaska. But I wouldn't change anything about what I observed, even if it was the way women carried themselves, how they held conversations, how they demanded the utmost respect, the expectation. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be. And I have to give a lot of credit to my mother as well, because of her strength and the things that she endured as a child and coming up and having 4 kids. Those are the most valuable lessons that shaped me into the woman that I am. And so seeing those boss women who have forced their way to the tables and not been silenced about the things that mean the most to them, that is, I wish I literally wish my arms could grow where I can wrap my arms around all of them, because it is through their journeys that we as women can be inspired. And then also, it's not even just women. It could also be men be inspired by the strength of a woman to actually, see her push her way through, when people said that, you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. And you'll never be considered equal to a man. But one thing I can say is society has actually pivoted in a way that it's either you roll with it or you get ran over, because it's coming. It's like a force, But I know, for example, I have an 8-year-old daughter, And, we were following the different campaigns that were going on, and presidential elections and local elections and things like that. And to see her have hope, never having seen a woman in the different positions that she was seeing, where it said winner, you know what I mean? It did something in an 8-year-old's eyes, but it was those women who came before her mother, to say, baby girl, you can do anything you put your mind to. If you work so hard, if you commit to being a great person, it will come full circle, and karma is real. Okay. I believe karma is real. I'm like, you do good, you'll get good. If you're out there doing things that you ain't got no business, that may come full circle too. But to be able to have those examples for her to see that, but then also trace back to that we didn't just land here. We didn't just land in the positions that we're in. We shed many tears. There were many times that we probably thought we couldn't, but it was the perseverance and the courage and wanting to be better as individuals as well. Education has opened many doors for myself during the pandemic, where we had all of the time to, sit and think and ponder and, think of new things that we could get our hands into. I took that time as continuing my education to actually learn more about the true meaning of when you think of equity and inclusion, the true meaning of, being able to have a voice in a place where you may not feel as if it will be well taken, but being persistent. So it's been the endurance of all of the phenomenal women who have fought before us, who have paved the way before us, that have given us hope in times even like now, where it's just, things are still crazy. But I believe that as a society that we're pivoting in a way where it's being more accepted, and it is the right way to go, if that makes any sense.
Oh, definitely. You kind of hit on my next thing too, because we've seen now, there's a woman of color in the White House at the vice presidency, and we're looking like we're going to get a Black woman in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And I tell people, it doesn't even matter what side of the aisle you're on. These are things that I remember as a kid growing up, it was unfathomable to me. Like, a Black president, or a Black vice president, what? You know what I mean? And so you talk about your daughter, for her and these younger generations to now come up and that be something like, oh yeah, we can do that. It's you can't even fathom how much that can affect people, especially young people. Because I'm sure you could say things saying growing up, the thought of even just the women we see now, and even people of color in these areas and doing these things. We want that to start to be the norm. We don't want to be shocked by it, like, oh my God. But
exactly. But then also speaking to that woman is also knowing that, be teachable. Know how to listen, be open, because it is those conversations that my mentors have shared with me, where I may think I have a whole laundry list to go over, and it's connecting with them, and it's just listening. And typically those sentences start off something like this: baby girl, let me tell you, back when I was coming up, so it is those special moments that it's like, okay, you do have to be teachable. You do have to listen. It's not your way or the highway, and society is showing that a lot of things are happening, and they're uncontrollable in the sense where there may be something to happen, and we feel like we have our hand in it, but at the same time, that's just the avenue that this world, right, is taking, and it's going down this path. So you have to know how to pivot. You have to know how to pivot and be open to also accepting your evolvement. As we evolve, we learn, which is the hope, right? Things will change. Things are not always one-sided, but if you are open to your evolvement and your growth, you'll actually shock yourself. who knew that I would, you know, want to do so many things and have my hands on so many things, but it was because of my foundation, my faith, believing I could, you know, that's huge. So it really is, seeing in Women's History Month. And I always say it's every day. My platform preaches that it's an everyday thing. So,
I'm not surprised.
right. So this is something that I really try to instill to everyone I come in contact with, that the power of a woman is significant. It is significant. And embrace us, because we're coming for all that has our name on it.
I know that's right. So guys, been talking with Ashley Burney. I've enjoyed this so much. We're going to wrap it up because I know she probably got 18 more things to get to today. But so what next for you? I mean, we were talking at the dinner that time. You already had I'm about to do this. I got this coming. I got this. Where are we going next? What's the next success for you moving forward?
I'm really, if God says the same, because I keep him first, praying for the platform in itself, right, is that the reach will expand. So there are some things in the works where we could actually take the Your Bold is Beautiful and Heart to Heart, because Heart to Heart is the overarching empowerment platform. But when you think about the Your Bold is Beautiful lifestyle brand and event series, is actually traveling with it. So allowing for the same opportunities that are here in Vegas to be offered around the world. And I say world because again, these things that we pray for and we forget just because we're in the daily, the action of things. I actually had such a powerful woman. She attended my second annual Your Bold is Beautiful event this past October, and she's from Jamaica. And she says, Ashley, she said, we need this. She said, we need this. And she goes, and I have left literally changed in so many different areas. And so to be able to travel with the platform and offer these types of events and experiences, right? Because I'm huge on experience. There are so many people who are having workshops or hosting events, but I really want you to have a life-changing experience having attended one of our events or experiences. And so that's in the works. Also, to continue to grow our offerings. So our youth empowerment program, just in this last month, there have been 3 schools to sign up, elementary through high school. And so to be able to expand the reach and partner with more schools, because we know the need is there. The need is there. These kids have actually really struggle. Everyone has struggled in the sense of during the pandemic, whether it's learning something or it's experiencing death or knowing the power of silence, sitting and having this time to think and to sit and think about everything that's going on. And so I know for me, it was hard at times because I liked to be out on the go. I was like, oh my gosh, the least I could do today is take a shower, have a meal, go outside and walk. Maybe it was a challenge for me, but then let's talk about like the mental health aspect of it, and actually normalizing that it's okay to say you're not okay, and to actually get whatever help is needed, but to really be able to work with these children and young adults, crazy high school, going on and either joining the workforce or continuing their education. It's important that we have the mental health aspect, because our kids, to abruptly be told, okay, you're going to learn and it's going to be online only. And then the teachers and the staff and everyone trying to ensure that the kids are set up to the best way that they can, but then seeing these kids and the mental strain that it had on many of these kids. Some of the kids now, that you would see in high school, they are either a freshman or a sophomore, but the last time that they were actually physically in the building was when they were in middle school.
Yeah. Wow.
There are a few years in terms of the social aspects,
Yeah.
They could be a few years behind. So to be able to work with these kids and further the impact of the youth empowerment program, do more in the community, because I really believe that we are the change that we want to see. We can't just talk about it. We have to be about it. If we want to see something changed in our community, if we want to have, some resources for whatever audience it is, then we need to be a part of making that happen, not just hoping that it happens and then being irritated when it doesn't. You actually have to be a part of it, So just really being able to expand the platform and our offerings and our reach, and just stay tuned into self to ensure that this is something that we are fully navigating, tapping into our passion to the level that we need to. And so that's what we look for. We're looking forward to, and just staying busy, whatever it is.
Nice. As we wrap it up, guys, I ask every guest that comes on, Ashley, have you read any great books, anything lately that stuck out to you to share with the listeners and viewers?
Yes. So one of the books that I actually just wrapped was Woman Evolve by Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, I can tell you, if you read that and you don't ask yourself more about tapping into the things that we've covered right today, but it's a New York Times bestseller, and she pretty much just talks about life lessons and new insights from the story of Eve. And so she talks about like the different disappointments that she's had, but how she's been able to use that for good and the lesson in it. I believe a lot of the times that we focus on what has happened, that we miss the actual lesson in it all.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because, if you go through something and it's the pity, right? It's not able to tap into what was I able to learn? What was I able to, how was I able to grow?
Yeah.
We could actually totally miss why we even went through it.
Yeah.
Focusing on the wrong thing. And so that book has really been powerful, and I share it with anyone who could take advantage, because she's powerful. She is powerful.
Yeah, she's amazing. Guys, this has been so great. Listen, we didn't even have time. I'm going to try my best to post, when we post this, to post the first one as well, because you guys don't even know her personal testimony. Like, Ashley is a walking miracle. Seriously, I'm not joking. Like, we got into it the last time. I didn't really have a lot of time, so I wanted to get with what she's doing now. And her attitude is so amazing. Check her out. So, real quick, Ashley, where can people get in contact with you? All that stuff.
Yeah, so on my website, it pretty much has everything. It has our offerings, it has ways to get involved, consulting services, all of that good stuff. So my website is heart2heartspeaks.com, and it has everything you need to know. But what I can say is I talked a lot about experience, and that means a lot to me. So once connected, kind of always connected. So, but that is definitely the way that you can reach out, and we can get connected and do some things together, or learn more about the platform, how you can become involved. And really, I wanted to share this as well, is I have a huge emphasis on being intentional. The things that we say we want to do, there's it's called a journey, and it doesn't come overnight. But when we take actions of being intentional with our goals, with our company, you are the company you keep. And so, knowing that as a kid, growing up, to not everybody can be along for the ride. And so being able to kind of focus and be intentional with your goals and everything that you set out to do, it can be life-changing. So heart2heartspeaks.com is the way to get a hold of me.
I'm telling you guys, you need consulting, you need something to help your business. I'm telling you, and Ashley, cool. She ain't gonna big time you, y'all. She is just how you see her now. That's how she be. I'm telling you. So
I'm so real.
For real. But thank you for coming on. Blessings to
Thank
you and
you.
your husband and the kids and everything. I appreciate y'all so much, man. We got to get
Yes,
him on too.
likewise.
Tell him he
Likewise.
got. Tell him he got to come on too, because I didn't
Yes,
even.
yes, I'll tell him. I'll tell him.
That's two for you. It still ain't got him, but definitely.
You know, I'll share it. I got you. I'll take care of that.
Yes. But guys, you know this is the Shareholders Podcast, Mighty Sharp Network. You know where to check us out at. And I'm telling you, next time too, because we were talking about maybe doing it in studio, but we're getting new equipment in. I'm not ready yet, so when y'all come in, y'all can come the whole studio thing. Have y'all both come back in soon. So
Yes,
please
can't wait.
share this, guys. Let people know this is what we do this for. I mean, I told you, I started this out, wasn't even trying to do it. And this show has been such a blessing to me to meet so many amazing people and share stories. So please, if you like this, just share it. You know what I'm saying? Give a like. Please support Ashley as well. Ashley, I appreciate you. Love you so
Yes,
much. You
thank
guys
you.
have a great one. All right.
Likewise. Thank you for all you're doing and continue it because it is changing lives. And I can't wait to share also with my platform so that they can know that they may can, you know, it's option to be a guest and share their journey as well. That really is what we're all in the business of, is to really push what each other is doing. So I appreciate the love. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, you know what to do at the end of it. Please be blessed. Stay sharp. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.